Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is your best friend, Tiny Universe. Um, it's only been a week, but it feels like it's been longer. I'm not gonna lie. It's the same thing every week. It's probably the highlight of my week. So I don't really have an agenda tonight, and um, I think that there's a little bit going on that we can talk about, and a little bit that we cannot. So with that being said, I think if you've not tuned in, I am Tiny Universe. This is Tiny's Universe. Once again, this is my place, your place, the place, I think, for Macroverse updates. And it's a pleasure to have you. With that being said, I want to bring in my good friend, Mr. Evan Matthews.
Yoink.
Yoink.
I
And,
like I like my place, your place, the place. I think that's good. Very good. Well, yeah, I think there's as always, as has been the case for many months, there is a ton going on behind the scenes with what we're working on right now. Not a lot we can yet talk about. Feels like a broken record every week for the time, but there will be a moment when it's like all that stuff. Now we can share it.
It's gonna be like that's gonna be probably like the most ever viewed Tiny's Universe.
Yes, no doubt. I mean, there are a few things that are going to get some pretty widespread media attention, which is going to be fun. So, probably the thing to look forward to, just to give a big timing update, is mid-September to early October. We're pretty sure that's going to be the first kind of big reveal of all the pieces coming together. And then there may be a few breadcrumbs along the way. So if you want to eat some of those breadcrumbs along the way, then we'll start and end by saying, come into the Discord. There will probably be some opportunities to see some early stuff before we make bigger announcements if you're in the community.
I was going to say, talking about breadcrumbs, I mean, it's just the history of Macroverse. I feel like almost like if you're part of the community and you participate and you're there, like you get stuff just because you're experimenting and you're giving it away as you go. And it's like, yeah, some of those breadcrumbs are just like things like, hey, look what we did. And, and to me, like, those are some of the coolest things to own.
Well, we talked a little bit about it last week, so this part I feel okay with. Like, there is going to be a moment when we start to bring early access to some of the things that we've been building, to the core community first. And so there will be invitations to, kind of not necessarily beta test, but be part of the earliest cohort, kind of jumping in to test some of the stuff that we've been working on, to, get the early access to teaser, claim your Macroverse username, things like that. So there'll be some opportunities for the core community to just get in early to some of the stuff that we're building. And actually, in a fun way, the way we've mapped out this next phase, over many milestones, which will probably take honestly about a year to fully build, you'll kind of be able to ride the development cycle from kind of wave to wave to wave. And it all builds on each former cycle. So it'll be kind of fun to see how people enjoy that process of kind of getting some early access and getting things set up, and then being able to do some things with that stuff that gets set up, and then being able to do more with those things that get set up. And I think it's going to be a fun ride for those that choose to go on it. And I'm definitely excited about that. And, we've got some great progress on that side of things. And then also on the, lots of what I can't talk about just involves.
I was like, where's he going with this?
It's just, it's contracts and negotiations with people and collaborators and partners that are not, we don't have the approval to talk about yet. So, but when we do, I think it's going to be a lot of fun, very exciting. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's it. I mean, I'm stoked. I can't wait. I'm like, even just a little bit we've talked about. It's like, man, there's so much that could happen, and then thinking about mixed print and that side of things. That's what really gets me excited is just like how wide it can actually go, and I mean, it's just
we had a very mixed print focused meeting today. There's another one tomorrow. Lots of that stuff going on. And then a whole new product line that nobody knows anything about, which is very exciting.
very nice.
And it's gonna be a lot of fun. So lots to look forward to if you know what is coming. Hopefully some stuff to look forward to if you don't know what's coming. And appreciate everyone that's kind of hanging in there while we haven't been able to do as much as quickly as we had hoped. A lot of things coming together to once the floodgates open, it's kind of amazing the number of dominoes that have now been set up. So we're all over on this side just going like, come on ready to knock them over.
Oh man.
So it's very cool. What we can talk about is some drip updates. So if we want to dive right into that, we did have a new drop this week on the Vogu drip channel, and actually have that teed up to stream in here as well. So again, just incredible new work from Jason Trinidad, who is the original artist and creator of the Vogu universe. As we slowly but surely continue down the comics path with Vogu, we're introducing this whole new cast of characters, which are rebels in this universe. We did the first batch a couple weeks ago. Vogu is a bi-weekly drop on Drip House, so you'll see new stuff every other week. This new set of characters, just another set of bangers in my opinion. So what I love about Jason's work and what we try to do with all the stuff that we put out on Drip House is even the bare like the base model, so to speak, is still incredible. So
I'm like really digging the backgrounds actually.
Yeah, really cool. I like that a lot too. And then, something Jason and I have been talking a lot about is that you'll see more and more as this Root collection develops, these kind of Root rebels, this rebel faction, which call themselves Root. And this little skull icon, which actually is kind of a fun side note. So this little skull icon is something that Jason designed as part of the original Vogu collection. And one of the things I love is being able to find ways to connect these dots retroactively where they still make sense for kind of the story and the world. And so this has become the symbol of this particular rebel faction. And what that now suggests is that the Vogu that are in the original collection that are sporting this symbol now have some sort of rebel relationship that we didn't know about previously.
Look at
that. So I think that's pretty cool to be able to do stuff like that. And then, he's just killing it with these backgrounds. And we had some fun a few weeks ago brainstorming some ideas around slogans for the rebels. And so these are almost little poster, wanted posters in a way, or, something that you might see, the other factions kind of pulling up on their screen if they're trying to identify particular rebels or that kind of thing. And so it's a lot of fun. And we got some Storm the Gates, for example. The Gates is another character faction which we'll introduce more fully in the comic series. Also works very well as a kind of power to the rebellion, kind of a slogan. And then something you'll see as this continues to roll out is, Jason and I have been talking quite a bit about, a lot of these characters so far, some of them have truly integrated, kind of human parts and tech parts. And so this character, you can actually see she's got some kind of mechanical thing happening, integrated into her body. And one of the things we're really exploring in a kind of story and lore sense is, what is the kind of human technology relationship in the Vogu universe? Everything from being able to tether your consciousness into a, Vogu, Tar's body. And then these different rebellion factions, and the Root rebellion in particular, kind of the spectrum of different types of human technology integrations, kind of going all the way to fully integrated. And we're kind of playing with that in the first drop, where, this guy is kind of fully embraced like the integration, the cohesion between the two, human side, technology side. And then we'll start to reveal that, there are some humans which have gone completely the other way and, want to remain kind of completely organic. And so still using technology, but not, wanting to put technology in their bodies. And so it's kind of a weird reverse of, kind of, I think the initial concept of or kind of an expansion of the initial concept, where it's, using your human consciousness to power a robot is sort of what they perceive as kind of the final stage. And yet there's all these, kind of people outside of that, which are still kind of figuring out, like, is this part of me? Is it not a part of me? Like, how do I want to be integrated into this? What does that suggest around my relationship with the powers that be? So those are all kinds of, kind of story themes that are kind of being played with as we develop these characters as well. And then an accidental reveal, but I always like to look at these things as an opportunity. So this last week's limited legendary piece, so this is the 100,000 droplet reward. 2 people claim this one, so there are literally just 2 of these guys in the collection. This week it got revealed early, but this is this week's 100,000 droplet limited legendary, which I just absolutely love. So this is still available for anyone that wants to throw those droplets in. You'll still be able to receive this in your collection. It just got accidentally dropped as part of the initial release. So there you go, sneak preview. And then I will say, on the Vogu side, we've been working on something entirely different, which is also going to initially be released through Drip House. It might even be a surprise release before the next drop. That is something I am extremely excited about, and is going to be a little more familiar to the original collection, but also in a completely surprising, unique way. And I will just tease that while it will start in pixels and bits, it will end up in atoms as well. So very excited about that. And then while we're doing Drip House updates, for some of you that have been following us on Drip House, you'll probably notice that there has not been a new Macroverse drop, nor a new DMC drop for a couple weeks. We're working on the next round of both of those. And so basically just paused the leaderboard for a couple weeks while we've been so busy with other things, to also just get a number of drops kind of ready to go, so that when we resume, there won't be another interruption for a while. So it's a kind of an intentional pause to just get ahead of schedule. And one of the things that I'm very excited about around that is we also just got access to the Drip Creator Studio, which means we can now really control even more of when things go out, who things go out to, different types of reward mechanics around, people's collecting activity and things like that. And then on the DMC side, the next batch of collaborations are currently being worked on. So there too, we just wanted to get a few kind of in the bank before we start releasing again. So, it felt like we've had such an incredible run of DMC collaborations that, we didn't want to be stressing ourselves or our collaborators with, being under the wire every week to get new stuff out, but rather let's get a few, kind of ready. And then once we start going again, we'll be able to hit that weekly cadence in the next round again. So that's where we're at with both of those. I would say there will likely be a surprise. There will likely be a surprise drop on both channels before we officially resume weekly drops. So, if you're still, active and kind of looking, don't hesitate to throw some droplets into the kitty. All of those droplets from the previous snapshot and anything that comes in between now and the next drop will definitely count towards what's coming next. So, I don't want anybody to feel like you're losing anything by, continuing to support the channel, but, there will probably be a surprise between now and then, as well. That's
so basically, go get your droplets, get them in now.
Yeah, don't wait. Continue to get your droplets in, and then we're watching kind of activity on the leaderboard right now. So anything that is a surprise will be targeted kind of towards some of the different tiers that people have been kind of participating with on the channel. That doesn't necessarily mean it's like the top of the leaderboard or anything like that, but we do like to reward activity in different ways. So even if it's just making sure that you've secured everything that you have available to secure, we can see that in the, kind of the stats on the channel. And so, we did a drop a little while ago where there was a bonus piece for everyone that had secured, anything from the channel up to that point. And so doing things like that to me is a lot of fun. So lots more coming on the Drip House front. I continue to be very bullish and delighted with the progress that Drip is making. And actually, we've got 2 more Macroverse channels that will be launching on Drip in short order.
That's awesome.
There'll be no lack of at least Macroverse ecosystem content.
We're taking over.
We're taking over. And I do think I'm still figuring out the best strategy for some of this, but what I'm particularly excited about with that is that through having a sort of network of channels, it does let us do some things that, I think we're relatively unique in our ability to do, which is being able to say, if you're supporting something on Macroverse, let us give you something on DMC. If you're a DMC crew member, let us give you something special on Macroverse, or something that is launching new. And we've done that a few times so far. And so I think the more synergy we can kind of build between this kind of network of creators and channels, the cooler things we can do over time. So yes, excited about that. And then let's see what else is going on. We're doing a lot of prep work for some print stuff. So that will be part of the stuff. Part of the larger announcements that we can make is we've teased it a little bit before, kind of, lots of kind of intersection of digital and physical. So there's, a lot of work being done behind the scenes on making sure all of that is working properly and doing what we need it to do. We've got some great partners that we're bringing into the fold on all of that. Had an incredible time with our printer at San Diego, kind of getting a lot of that stuff dialed in, just as far as the way that all that has to work in the real world when you're dealing with things like ordering paper.
I'm not gonna. I mean, my life, and actually, like right now, I don't think I've bought a comic book in like several days.
Oh my gosh! How are you?
Freak out
how are you here right now? I know.
But I think that I am like most excited, and it's like whether it's a Macroverse book or something that Macroverse is affiliated with that is a different title that comes. Like I cannot wait to. I can't wait to have a physical Macroverse physical print, like preferably a hologram.
Well, I know we talked about it briefly. Did I show any of the Cypress Hill?
You showed me. I don't think we actually went through. I mean, I think you showed a cool little.
I showed some on from the actual files, but I don't think I had a physical at that point. So yeah, here's a couple of them. We've got more on the way. A couple samples.
Yeah.
So this is so cool. Like this is what was available at their concert in London. Every cover is a unique one-of-one variant, which is extremely cool. So,
and those are even like they're probably about double the size I kind of like envisioned them. I mean,
yeah,
those are really cool.
Yeah, they're really cool. And then, for those that don't know, I just love the fact that this entire concert was inspired by a Simpsons episode. But yeah, super cool. So, 3,000 unique cover variants for that Cypress Hill concert promo, or not promo, but what's it called? The booklet, but it's the presentation booklet. There's a different name for it that I'm blanking on, but
pamphlet?
Yeah, not that either. But you know what it is. It's the thing you get from a place that, your program. There you go.
Yeah.
Concert program. So, yeah, super cool. Everybody's super happy about it. And again, just lots more mixed print stuff to come. It's just so cool to be able to actually hold in our hands now, like, this thing that we've been working on for a while. And it got a pretty awesome debut with one of the best bands in the world. So yes, very cool.
I still even like with you sitting there holding like two different ones, I can't imagine still like being in the crowd and being like,
yeah,
holy shit, yours is totally different.
That's what was so cool is like when we started seeing comments show up on Instagram where people started to realize after the fact that they were all different, and some of the comments were like, oh my god, I had no idea, this is amazing, So, but yeah, super cool. And I think that's what I'm kind of looking forward to, is I think as this becomes a more known quantity, then when you get the chance to go to find something that has this kind of mixed print treatment to it, it's like then the fun really begins, because what we haven't even announced. So this is a little alpha for you. I don't know if they're going to end up doing anything with this or not. So we just planted the seed and actually we didn't even tell Cypress Hill at this point. But there are 5 and only 5 gold covers in the in that print run. And so, we just kind of did that because we thought it would be cool. And then if they ultimately decide they want to, use that as a ticket for something or as a bonus or, whatever, the option is there. But even if they don't, 5 out of the 3,000 have a unique kind of gold treatment to them.
And I think anytime there's a golden ticket, I automatically think of Willy Wonka.
Of course. I mean, I think anytime you're doing, I think it's a, the two things go together, because every time you hear golden ticket, you think Willy Wonka. And I think every time you think about like opening something that's going to have a special ticket in it, it kind of has to be a golden ticket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's pretty cool. That would be something that would be like, I mean, again, I'm still anticipating. I feel like that went pretty awesome. And I just can't imagine like on the back end, management and that side of things, just seeing how cool it was, and just word of mouth, is to me one of the best things that can happen. And I mean, that to me, I mean, that's couldn't happen with like a bigger group of people. I mean,
yeah. It was dope. It was definitely a good way to make sure that it all worked, and it did. It all worked. Very cool. Yep. Yeah, I mean, what we've kind of stumbled into, which is exciting, is this kind of mix of using the tech things that we've developed, and then now with the printer that we've been able to connect with and build this kind of proprietary process with, both for mixed print and for this other print project that we're working on. There's this interesting combination of kind of new and traditional, and it allows us to create some really cool things. And at least for the time being, and possibly kind of forever, no one else can do it. So it's a kind of a fun spot to be in, where this whole category is something that we can just kind of run with. So there will be a lot more mixed print.
I'm anticipating a card deck. We'll say that. And I don't know. I'm waiting on I still want a video game somehow, like a phone Android, like a phone game.
A mixed print phone game?
Maybe Dead Town.
Okay, yeah.
Dead Town game.
Yes. Well, there will be gaming at some point, no question.
Smashing zombies.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I think what else do you want to do with them other than smash them or post them? We need a Fruit Ninja clone with zombies.
God, how fun would that be?
Actually, it would be fun. Yep. Well, I mean, where else do you want to go tonight? Because I don't have much other news, but I want to make sure that
we had another writer's room, another makeup room, and unfortunately, I was lame and didn't get my updates in. But hopefully I'll be done this week. But we did get on Matt. He did a huge video and really went over his and I think for me the cool things about this is even though it was focused on his story, is it helped me look at myself and kind of what I'm in, kind of like a step behind him in the same process, and I'm like kind of trying to dissect my story and do the same thing. So it was really like still enlightening for me, even for myself. But it's fun to always hear everybody else's story. I'm still waiting to go back to, a couple of the other ones. But no, that's fun. That's a big thing for me every week. So I'm still waiting. I don't think I've seen Matt since you've done that.
I happen to know he is with his mom at Disneyland today. And then they're off to VCon for this week as well. So
VCon again.
Yeah. So that is where Matt is at the moment, but I know he's excited to dive into it. And I'm actually glad it worked out that way, because I'm always trying to make those conversations specific for the person that we're working with or working on that particular story. But ideally, and certainly what I'm hoping for, is that it's useful to everybody that's engaged in the process. So I thought, it ended up working out really, really quite well, where, this next stage of, I kind of forgot even going into that session, where it's like, once you're at the script stage, and Matt, this is, his V1 of his script for the next part of his Dead Town story. But once you're at the script stage, it's like, it's really two things. It's the story, and it's also the collaboration document. And so, when you're talking about film or TV or animation, it's like that is the blueprint for hundreds of people that are going to be bringing that thing to life. When you're talking about comics, it's the blueprint primarily for one person, which is your collaborator as an artist, the artist that's going to be collaborating with you. But it's still, something to kind of be looking at from both points of view, which is, am I telling the story that I want to tell? Does the story work? Does the way that the story unfolds work? And then just as important for the thing that actually is going to come to life at the end of the day is, am I communicating to my collaborator in a way that is going to get me what I want, and also give them enough, to be able to see what I'm trying to communicate. And in my opinion, ideally also open the door to them being able to add to it, because, in all of my best experiences with, artists and collaborators, including when I'm on the other side of this equation, is like, I don't want to just have someone that's going to just do what's in my head. I want them to bring their own, magic to it. Like, that's what makes the collaboration so special, is that it's, it's a combination of talents. And, so often with good collaborators, it's, you would never get there just with one of you. It really is a synergy between the two people, or the multiple people, that make something great. So I think, I was kind of remembering that as we were going into the session, and then it just felt perfect to go, like, we can spend some time really talking through some of the story here, but also talking through, how the format, not necessarily how it needs to be formatted, but just how to think about how that communication works going from script to collaboration.
Yeah, no, and I think for me again, like kind of being in that same spot, I guess. I mean, it really helped me out to hear it and listen and be like thinking in my head, well, this is maybe what I would do, um, and then thinking, well, I'm doing the same thing on mine, so like I need to take that and go like do that.
Yeah.
So, because I mean, like I'm, and I don't want to say mistakes. It's like it's just it's still like so story written and not like
Yeah.
what I see. This is the dialogue. It's still just a lot of story. And for me, like looking at mine personally, that's what's kind of taken a little bit longer is taking the words and saying, all right, that's a lot of like story. How
Mhm.
do I put that into one panel picture with a little bit of dialogue and
Yeah.
not so much, full paragraph
Yeah.
detailed story.
It's it's astonishing, and it's actually way more challenging than I think people realize to be so reductive, because I think it's actually really helpful when you're in the early stages to be really thinking through, like, why is this thing this way, or what is this world like that causes this particular spaceship to act the way that it does, or this character's driving a car, what kind of car are they driving, why are they driving that car, where did that car come from, like those sorts of things can be really useful to know as the the writer and the creator of a particular story or a particular world. But when it gets to then handing it off to the artist, like figuring out what of that did they actually need to know,
Yeah.
can be challenging, because a lot of it really is like, well, I needed to know that to build this narrative, to build this plot and structure, but really all they need to know is it's a blue Camaro, and the rest of it is going to be communicated, through the story. And so trying to have to almost take your world building hat off to really put your this story is told in a series of moments which are drawn images, is a little bit of a different muscle. And so I think it's a process for sure.
I feel like my entire life of school was taking things and making it smaller. Not
Well,
playing,
there's the famous quote, which I'm not going to get quite right, but it's essentially it's like, I would have written you a short letter, but I only had time to write you a long one. And it's so true. It's like, it's so much of good writing, especially, is editing, is whittling.
So you know what though? Like it's the hardest thing to take a story and just like chop it down. Like you would think it would be so easy, like to take stuff away, but it's man.
Well, you can apply that. You can apply that to I think art. You can apply that to film and editing film is similar, where it's like you've got hours of footage, and the job is to figure out what minute out of this hour is going to best tell this story. And so there's a lot of it's amazing when you're editing live action or animation, but live action even more so. It's like it can literally be the difference of like, take this 5 seconds out or swap this moment for a different expression, and the scene completely plays differently and is obvious to everyone, like, this is better. And those sorts of things are pretty astonishing when you actually see them happen. And the same thing happens in comics. It's like when you're thinking about like do I need 5 lines of dialogue here, or is one word actually just as effective? And sometimes it's more effective to pull dialogue out, or let the visual really do all of the heavy lifting, and be kind of accenting with the dialogue that helps tell who those characters are.
I want to say, in my defense and Matt's defense, because we did the same thing with like multiple dialogues in one panel.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's your fault.
Oh, it is my fault. I know it's my fault. It's the whole, it is the argument for the tap story, for sure.
It's the tap format. I feel like the tap style, you can make it happen.
You can. And so that's the thing is I was realizing it as I was saying it, that, there and when we know we're writing something for that format, like that concern does go away. However, I will say, huge caveat, just because you can have a bunch of dialogue in the tab story format doesn't mean you should have a bunch of dialogue in the tab story format. So, what it really is, I think, when we are even as we're writing stuff specifically for tap, it's like you don't have to worry about that constraint because you can't fit it on the page, but it's still very much thinking about like what needs to happen in this interaction. And I always actually think about it like, if it wasn't in the tab story format, it just means you would have multiple panels back and forth between the characters. And so if we were taking that and moving it to print, and this will happen with Dead Town eventually and some other things, where it's like when you get a print version of that, that'll be one of the things that changes the format, is you'll have some of that dialogue will be cut or minimized, and some of it will be, represented in, more of a traditional, comic style. But.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, and that's the cool thing. I mean, like I still took your advice, and I trimmed mine, but it was funny listening to it and hearing him do like it's like them going, and I was thinking like I could totally see it in a tab story.
Yeah,
I can see what he's doing. But the cool thing is if you write it, chop it down, write it a little bit more bare, like more made for a one-page spread. You can always add it in to the tab format if it needs to be added in. And I still have, like all that original dialogue still saved and all that stuff. But, I think that was the big thing that caused that. Was I think when I write now, like I write for the tab format. And I think maybe I need to look at it more as an actual comic format, because you're right, and that's what I think of. Is just like I just see those books, those physicals where it's like they keep it in one panel, and it's just like a bubble, like a list of bubbles back and forth, and you're like, I don't even know what I'm looking at right now.
Well, I think it's crazy because then you've got like, balloon, and then like the tail from this balloon is like going around that balloon to connect to this one, and then like these two are connected over here. It is wild when you get like big conversations in traditional comics. Or you get the Brian Michael Bendis page, and I love Brian Michael Bendis as a writer, but it's like, he's famous for the 12 panel grid on a page where it's just like that, back and forth conversation. So yeah, I think, it's just, I think whatever the format is, you get more leeway in our tab story format for sure. But I think it's a good exercise to focus on, and I think hopefully my comments for Matt in particular were less about too much dialogue and more about, what are these characters actually saying and why are they saying it and how does that move the story forward?
So I think we did the exact same thing. It's like, it's the normal conversation that would be there.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, on a one page, on a one page, trying to squeeze it in, like it's saying the same thing. You don't necessarily need it all. So, what's the most important part to get the to get the message across? I mean, and that's where I was like, I totally saw it on mine. And then the second time, like it makes sense. But I felt like I had to kind of stick up for both of us on that, because I listening to it the second time, I was
very fair point.
I did. Like, he's writing for a tap story.
Yeah, it's a very, very, very fair point. However, here's what I will say: even in the tap story format, it's at least the way that I write it, because again, you've got to communicate it to the artist and the letterer or anybody else that's working on that formatting. It's still not all in one panel. It's still 1A, 1B, 1C, and there's still like the recognition of something is happening in each of those. So that's my slight pushback, but I will still take all of the blame for creating the petri dish for which this particular fungus grows.
So no, other than that, one thing that we didn't touch on with Vogu, I know you had a little bit of an announcement in the Discord for people that were Vogu holders that dropped their wallets.
Yes, yes, and that will continue. So if you are a Vogu, a OG Vogu holder, if you're an Ethereum Vogu holder, come into the Macroverse Discord. You'll find, make sure you verify to get your rolls, so you'll get a Vogu roll. And then there are some channels which will open up to you, and one of those will lead you to a roll gated channel, having to make sure that you verified your wallet, so we know that you do in fact hold those characters, those assets. And then once you're in that channel, if you have a Solana wallet, which you're using on DriftPass, this sounds way more complicated than it actually is. But truly, if you have your Solana wallet, you're using that wallet on DriftPass, drop that into that particular channel, and we're making sure that you're getting kind of special allocations of the stuff that we're dropping on DripHouse. So for this week, everyone that had given their wallet, automatically got the rare piece in the collection, and then we randomly chose 10 people who got the legendary piece, and then we'll continue to do more stuff like that as more people put their wallets in there as well.
Yeah, I think after the first one dropped, I saw a bunch more added. They were like, "Oh no, what am I missing?"
Yeah.
So and that thing I did. I got that right. That thing is awesome. And going back to that, what really blows my mind is just you talk about style and stuff like that, but I mean, like, to see his original work and the robotic side and for me, it's more kind of squared off, rectangled off, whatever. And then you've got this like anime style, human. It's just to see the skill and how good it is, and I mean, still kind of have that same style to it, and man, it's mind blowing as to like how talented he really is,
Oh yeah, no, I mean, and yeah, I mean, Jason is one of the people I've been fortunate enough to work with, where it's like, no matter what I ask him to do or what I throw at him, it's just like, yeah, you can do it.
I mean, I feel like I
all this stuff is great. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I see artists that overall are amazing, but for the most part, they have their one thing that they're most good at, and that's what comes out in most of what they do. And I feel like, I mean, just seeing the versatility there, I was blown away. I was like, wow. I mean, I kind of wondered originally, like years ago when the original collection came out, how humans would fit into it. And I mean, like, God, he just nailed it.
Yeah, it's super cool. And then, for those that may or may not have caught something subtle that we did is, all of the Vogu are facing towards screen right. And so very intentionally, all of the rebels are facing towards screen left. So if you happen to take your Vogu and your rebels and put them next to each other, there's a collision there.
I feel like they're prepared for the next battle game.
I think so.
I could see it now.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah, I'm just looking forward to some of the stuff we're going to be able to do. It's going to be very fun.
Me too.
Yes.
So, except for I will be paying for all of it. I will have an uncontrollable urge to buy it all.
Yeah, I do genuinely feel sorry for you with a couple of the things that we're working on. I mean, it's a sorry not sorry situation, but I mean, we're making some things that I will not be able to resist, and so in the world of scratching your own itch, there's some really cool stuff coming, and I just knowing your particular proclivities for the things you're collecting right now, I'm sorry. Not sorry.
Yeah, it's funny because I mean, even my friend that at the local comic book store that I go to, like I just keep like I've got the things that I go to, like, and I don't feel I feel like I like everything,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not what I end up with. Like I just keep like you know kind of have my style that I look at it more as like a piece of art than a story, I guess, with some of the older books that I get. So that's what I'm excited about, is to see like what comes out, how cool it is, and I want some like Macroverse stuff framed up on the walls. I think right now I've got some digital pools, which is fan favorite. Anybody that's been in my house, in my apartment, like they see these things and they're like, "Oh my god, this is so amazing!" So shout out to them for that. But yeah, no man, I've got some books and stuff hanging up on the wall, and that's like gonna be probably one of the coolest things. Is the first Macroverse physical. I feel like it's definitely gonna be framed and hung.
Can I show you something? Let me think about it for a second. All right, I'm gonna show it with very little explanation. So this is something I just got from Jason, which is, don't consider this an official announcement, but I do think very, very, very cool. So this is just a test print, but I love like this. This is his Phobos series, which is also out on the app. But this particular format where it's this is a little hardcover, and it's,
I was gonna say, it looks like a hardback.
It's a hardcover, and it's in this kind of slightly smaller than normal size, which I think is actually incredibly cool for this kind of thing. It's a little more kind of anime, kind of formatting. So something we're playing with that.
Well, I'm not jealous.
We'll be able to hopefully talk more about that too. So yeah, there is a lot of different things going on, and it will all coalesce. That's all. It's really all I can saying is it will all coalesce.
I mean, I know it's man. Like I said, I mean, I just, even the little breadcrumbs that that we know, like, gosh, it's just I feel like the things that can connect, I imagine they all are and will, and to me that just makes it's makes my head explode, because I mean I know how far that can go, like in my mind, and I just that means it's probably 10 times further in your mind and everyone else's mind on the team. Like I feel like you guys always, I want to say, like I'm always surprised. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, like, it's just I feel like that's kind of what led me to Macroverse, was just bending the rules and not trying to recreate something that's been done and do it a little bit better, but just changing the rules and doing something awesome.
Well, as we talked a little bit about last week, we're completely off of the rule book at this point. So
I mean,
fingers crossed that it goes the way we think it will. I feel very confident about the stuff that we're working on, but it's I think it's been actually a really interesting, like, at some point there will be a full debrief, I don't know, even kind of memoir territory here, because it's like it's been such an interesting path the last few years of where things went the way we thought they would, where things didn't go the way that we thought they would, and then kind of the results of that. But I do feel like each of those things has been a step along this path, and that all of them kind of had to happen the way that they did, even when they were things that we didn't want necessarily. And so, I think it's, might as well take that attitude anyway, because it's how you keep building and growing. But I do think like the place where we've ended up is a really good place, and it's kind of allowing us to do some things we hadn't thought we'd be able to do quite so. It sounds funny to say early when every week I say coming soon, but but some of those things are definitely closer than I think we initially projected. And then it's forced us to also kind of pivot into, some differences in how we're building and what we're building. Hello. And just all good stuff.
My toy.
It's down there.
There?
Yeah. Someone's out of bed.
Cuties.
No, I think that always catches me off guard. Now I have no idea what we were talking about, but
just the path.
Man, no. What I was gonna say is that the cool thing about that is that you say the last couple of years in the memoirs, and I think like for a lot of the people probably watching this, affiliate that only to the Web3 side of things, and I mean it goes so much further back to, even pre Web3 and having the app and
at some point, it won't be soon, but at some point, I will walk us through my original deck for, kind of what at that point I called Comics 2.0. And it's almost a decade old at this point. And there are some things, like, it's funny, I was looking at it maybe a year ago, and like there are some things in there where I'm like, oh my gosh, like we're just getting to this now because there was no way to do it when I originally, kind of came up with some of this stuff. And it's just funny. It's like, it's just one of those things where it's taken literally a decade to be able to figure out how to actually build some of this stuff. And now to be able to do it, for me, honestly, it really is kind of a dream come true, where it's like something I've been thinking about and working on for so long. And can actually see that realized now, and that's it's very cool.
I think the cool thing is too that you guys really should be proud of is, so I don't know. I mean, like there's people out there that look at like what you've done over the last couple of years as like a fail, and I mean, like you put out the probably coolest digital, reading app possible. I mean, I just don't think that there's anything that comes close, and that can be used in all kinds of formats. Like outside of comics as well. I can see it used in so much different things, but where that's going. I mean, like it's just like you guys have already done stuff that I would say is like, you've got so much to be proud of, but like what's coming, I mean.
Oh yeah, no, the next generation of the app is going to be very exciting. So I am thrilled with kind of what is happening there, and some of the conversations that we had at Comic-Con play into that. Certainly some of the new partnerships that we're working on play into that, but some of what we learned from Drip House has played into that. So I think, the next version of the app is going to be very familiar, but also have a lot of new stuff that I think people are going to love. And I think we've got a couple of tricks up our sleeve with that too, which are going to be very good for Macroverse, but even in some ways, more importantly, actually create some new opportunities for creators at all levels to make the things they want to make, get them to the people they want to get them to, and be the kind of missing toolkit for people that want to tell stories in this way. And then slightly further out from that, people that want to tell stories around stories that are told in this way. So yeah, there's a lot. I mean, we're gonna say it over and over again, the broken record, but there is a lot to look forward to. It's just gonna take some time to get there. But what I will say again is, we're looking at it's August 8th. So within the next 60-ish days, there will be the beginnings of some of these kind of bigger announcements that we'll be able to start to share. And certainly heading into the holidays, again, sorry, not sorry, there will be some things to add to your Christmas lists.
So what you're saying is my children won't have Christmas this year because
I mean, what they will have instead is inheritance of awesome things when they get older.
Oh man.
Yeah, now I don't want to go that far, but
no, that's crazy. But no, I mean that's how excited. I mean, and that's just how I'm so passionate about not just collecting, but obviously Macroverse. I mean, to have stuff that I can physically hold, because it's been to this point all digital. That's something that's really just like I said, it's just exciting, man. It's something else that I can take and show off and show to people and be like, hey, look what I got that you don't
have. Exactly. The real truth comes out. Yeah. Look what I have that you don't have. That's kind of the point. I don't know. There's some of that right along with look at what I got that you should also have.
Yeah. But, I mean, at that point, if everything, it's truly like you say, it's like a one of one. I mean,
yeah. Well, I mean, this is what we're going to keep playing with. I think there's a really interesting balance here, and I think a real unanswered question for, I think what works so nicely on Drip, I think, is that it's what we talked a lot about over the years is this kind of kind of the balance between access and ownership. And so I think when you're coming at it from the more of the kind of Web3 side of things, it tends to tilt more towards ownership. And then if you're totally on the Web2 side of things, it tilts more towards access and no ownership. And so that seesaw, really is only possible by blending the two. And I think, it's something I think Drip House has done really well is like everyone can see everything, but that's required to do just a little bit if you want to actually own that, if you want to have it. And so I think that model, I think I'm more and more convinced, that again, kind of, I always talk about my kids and kind of the product, visionaries here, but when I continue to watch the way that they interact with things and consume with things, and I think for it's interesting actually. I think in a weird way, like both their age group and then people of our generation who are maybe not familiar with haven't been red pilled into all this stuff. It's almost kind of the same where it's like, give me a familiar experience that I understand that doesn't require me to jump through a bunch of new hoops and learn a bunch of new stuff. But then give me some special, some superpowers, some things I couldn't do before. Like what actually makes this experience better, and why do I care?
Yep.
And I think if we can answer those questions, then there's something really special that we can build around that. And I think that's part of what I think makes Drip work, at least for me, is it's like I get to see all this cool stuff from people that I care about, and then more and more I actually find myself really curating the stuff that I'm collecting, but then the things that I do choose to collect, then I really get a kick out of, giving back to those creators and knowing that I'm directly supporting the work that they're doing. And, in some cases I can't help myself putting my speculator hat on a little bit, not because I'll ever sell any of it, because I never did that with comics. But there is a part of me that likes to think about like, ooh, I got this thing. Maybe I want two of them because one of them will, especially on the comic side, I'll put one in the bag for later because I think it might go up in value later. And then, I got another one that I can read and I don't really care, and like I have that, that collector gene too. But I think, being able to bring more and more of that blended experience to something that people just want to do because it's cool. I think everything's going to have to go there. I think that's just, for the most part, everything that's a game, that's an app, that's, trying to get, mainstream consumers, it's going to have to find their own version of that mix. And I think we found ours. So we're, now very much pursuing that.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I mean, just to see, I imagine just every level of entertainment, that's what's exciting to me is I feel like at the moment with a lot of people you guys really are looked at as just comedy. And I know between, the team, the experience and everything, like, what's possible. And that's where I just say, like, the span of this, I just, I know it's going to be, man, like you said, I mean, and I'm going through it now. Like my son,
Sorry about that.
I'm a couple hours past that. My son's 6 now, and it's Minecraft, and it's like Minecraft book bag, Minecraft shirt, Minecraft on the tablet. Like Minecraft on YouTube. Like it's just insanity, and that's kind of like where I see this going. Is like every piece of entertainment you can consume, it's going to be possible.
100%. I mean, this is, I don't know if you remember that, we'll start to wrap up here momentarily, but that was the initial thesis, or an early part of the initial thesis, which is still very much the case, is that, we are now a society of fans, and that fandom may fall, in different places for different people. For some people, it's, romance novels about fairies, and for other people, it's Minecraft. Very legitimate genre at the moment, but
man, I had no idea.
we can have a whole conversation about romantasy, as the genre is now known. I think we all find ourselves being fans of something, even if we don't necessarily identify it as kind of pop culture fandom. There are people that are fans of fishing. There are people that are fans of golf that, have the same level of obsession that, we do about, or I do about, Star Wars and, some of these other things. And so, I think it's, being able to understand and then, find ways to connect people to those things, because exactly that point of like, when you find something you love, you want more of it. So, how do I live in this world, whether that's Minecraft or, deep sea fishing, or, whatever it is for that person, that same kind of pattern plays out, where it's, the activity, the gear, the experiences, the, immersion in those particular things. And so I think as we look at how do we create a next generation of that type of content, like that's a big piece of it, is, how do you deliver enough, for people to be able to find their way into that level of, kind of immersion in the thing that they've come to now love. Part of the job, part of the challenge, but so, I think you'll see it more and more as they get older.
What is that for you now?
What am I obsessed by right now?
Yeah.
Actually, that's a good way to kind of wrap up. So, when Adam and I have about 50 episodes of a podcast that we did, which we called Myth Makers, I think there's a lot of good stuff still in that podcast. It's still up there on your podcasting channels. And we would always wrap up with what Adam termed the Hujima Flip. For anyone that doesn't know, Adam is one of my co-founders. So Hujima Flip is basically the British term for the whatchamacallit. And then we just kind of said, this is the thing that you're thinking about, that you're into right now, that you're kind of obsessed with. So for me, it's interesting. Like I've found over the last few weeks, there's not a ton that I'm watching at the moment. So, the last couple things I was really into were The Boys, new season of The Boys. And then as a interesting companion to that, like to me, The Bear continues to be one of the best shows on television. And it's still astonishing to me that a show about cooking can be one of the most dramatic, exciting, interesting experiences in all of entertainment. So if you haven't seen The Bear,
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I mean, you might not immediately go like, oh, this is something I would like, but it is so freaking good. And like season 1 is good. Season 2 is even better. Season 3 just wrapped up, and I would dare say it's even better. It's one of the most cinematic shows on TV. It looks incredible. And just as a pure case study on characters driving everything in the story, like the dynamics between those characters and how it pushes everything thing forward, and all the emotion and all the conflict and everything that each character is going through and how those things are all intertwined. It is a masterclass on everything that we talk about, weekly. And so my absolute highest recommendation on just like, they're playing at a level that is, pretty much above everything else on TV right now. As much as I do love The Boys, and I've actually really enjoyed this last season of House of the Dragon. So this is I've completely failed in my what's the one thing that I'm been excited about right now. But
it's only what 2. So I've somehow I never saw Supernatural, and I've been watching that, and it is amazing.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've missed out completely.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
it's a good one.
I'm obsessed. Yeah, it's hilarious.
That's a good one. I mean, that's one thing I think is amazing about what's happening on Netflix right now is, and it's been true for a while, but it's like there is nothing else that can just bring something back to the masses like Netflix can right now. And it's I'm going to be really interested in how that plays out in the industry over the next kind of decade, because as everything is changing around the way that the entertainment business works and consolidation and the different strategies of the streamers and all that stuff, there's, I think what Netflix has just done so wonderfully is been able to say, oh, this show that came out 10 years ago, like there's a whole new generation that is going to experience it for the first time. And I think that's going to start to influence content decisions and things like that. So just interesting. More of an armchair quarterback, thing for me to kind of watch how that unfolds than anything else. But and
it goes to show it's another one of those things like when they started raising prices and charging for, sharing accounts and stuff. Like people were like, not gonna last. The Netflix is gonna go, and feel like they're just doing something that
Well, what's funny is like most of my favorite shows are actually not on Netflix, but Netflix is the one thing that I just don't even think about canceling. It's like it's a utility. It is television at this point.
I know.
They've really done their job in that regard. But so I think a good place to wrap up, as always. Please come and connect with us. You can find us in the Macroverse Discord, discord.gg/Macroverse. You can find me primarily on Twitter/X on social media, which my personal handle is Ebenverse, and the Macroverse handle is Macroverse. So hopefully not too hard to remember.
That one.
Tiny, what is your best place to connect on social?
I always want to say Discord, just because that's to me the most intimate. It's the most. There's just so many good people. You're not just getting me; you're getting like everyone else that I love and care about within the Macroverse family as well. So that's the number one place is Discord, but Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Secret Agent Tiny, and pretty much it's going to be some variation of Tiny.
Oh no, some variation of Tiny Universe. We just I hope that's not me, but we just lost Tiny. Maybe the storms have rolled in. So oh, you're back.
It's funny because
usually it's me, but
I saw you talking the whole time, and I'm like, it says I'm disconnected, but
you're back. Usually it's me, but they gave it to you today. So, but I think, definitely the Discord, come in and say hi, come in and find out more about what we're doing. If you are interested, if you're an early adopter kind of person and any of the stuff that we've been talking about sounds interesting to you, like we will start to roll things out to the Discord community first. So that's the place to be if you like early access, and give us a little more time to get to the point where we start those invitations. But when they start, it'll start there first. In the meantime, subscribe to the drip channels. So right now that's Macroverse, DMC, and the Vogu primarily. Jason Brubaker, who's one of our just favorite artists in the Macroverse creator ecosystem. He's also got a Drip House channel. a lot of other phenomenal artists and collaborators that we worked with on the DMC drops and other stuff. So explore Drip. If you're not there already, give it a shot. Check it out. It's a lot of fun. Lots of really cool stuff coming out there. And we'll be back next week. Same tiny time, same tiny channel. And with that,